Welcome back to another episode of Imagine Better, everybody. I am your host, Mark Powers, and today I am so honored and grateful to have the wonderful Michael Wynn, also Coach Wynn, in my studio today. Michael, welcome.
All right.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me.
Absolutely.
Man, I mean, look at this guy. He's sharp-dressed man. He's got a powerful name. Coach Wynn.
That's right.
How did you get that nickname?
Hey, you know, my name is Wynn, and
Right.
I was always told, just live with it, go with it, you know.
Right.
And, you know, going through life, you think about it until it gets to a point that, you know, I got to learn how to start winning, really winning.
Right.
And, you know, our name is so unique because it was spelled W-Y-N-N. And the story that's been told, my great-grandfather had told us that in the slavery, some of our relatives' names was misspelled by the owners, spelled it W-I-N. So we always talk about our win-win situation.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I love that.
Our reunion, our reunion will say W-Y-N-N-W-I-N-N because we have relatives that their names
still with the I instead of the Y.
Yeah.
I like that though, a win-win.
Yes.
We're a win-win family.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. I love it.
Go with it. I can wake up every day and you know, it just happened. I guess I have to pay my royalties to the music. All I want to do is win. That's my theme.
Yeah. You ever had them come after you for say, knocking at your door, Michael, what are you doing here, buddy?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've done a little bit of, just a little perusing on your website today. Like I told you, and everyone that watches this knows, I say it all the time, I don't sit there and come up with a list of questions. I don't care about diving deep into backgrounds because this is what it's about for me. This is the authenticity I'm trying to bring to the show. But this morning I did peruse through the About section of your website, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I knew this guy was going to be a powerhouse, but wow, I mean, you're certified up the wazoo, my friend. Yeah, I mean, you went to college for accounting, I believe, if I remember. You even did audits, certified fraud audits for casinos or something, if I remember.
Yeah, I worked with
How did you get into that?
Well, I started out as a financial auditor. When I got out of school, I worked with the Michigan Department of Transportation as a financial auditor, commission audit. And I left there, went to UAW for a short period of time, and then got recruited to actually work for the Michigan Gaming Control Board. I was selected the first auditor in charge of the first casino that was built in Detroit. On the state side, we had to regulate those casinos. Wow. And I worked there for a while, went to Detroit Public Schools, and then I ended up at Department of Education as a fiscal monitor. Okay. Worked there for years, and I still do consulting work. I retired after 25 years. But
congratulations.
But yeah, and during that time, it was so unique because I was thinking about becoming a fraud examiner as I was going through. It was one of those sexy jobs. Right. Get right to the core.
It's very interesting.
And it actually helped me when I was in line when the casinos opened because I got certified as a fraud examiner. So did a little bit of both. I worked primarily looking in the areas of, compliance. Right. And then we started working towards that area that we protect people.
What was the greatest satisfaction out of that part of your life? Of doing what you did?
You know what? Just to teach people.
It was like, aha, I gotcha.
Teach people to be aware for one.
Right.
But it helped me later on, and I'll talk about it later about my transition. It helped me to help people. To avoid financial stress. And one is on both sides. But then it allowed me to identify people who have the curiosity or who have the tenacity just to do wrong. And you had to separate the two. And then you had to also, my background as a financial auditor, fiscal auditor, is to make sure that they're doing the right things. Right. And just the compliance part, how do you go forward?
So taking $5 out of grandma's purse as a 12-year-old might not, is that wrong?
Yeah, that's right. You start young, yes.
I never did that. My grandma would stuff $5 in my wallet without me knowing. I was like, great, God bless her.
Yeah, that was nice.
She was fun.
Yeah.
She passed away years ago, but yeah, it just reminded me of that. No, I mean I thought that was very interesting when I was reading that. I mean, you're someone who constantly educates himself annually, if I recall. And by the way, everybody, so the wonderful, beautiful Dr. Pamela Perry,
Yes.
is the one who connected us. Yes. She spoke so highly of you, Michael, which awesome. I understand why. Yes. She is amazing.
She is.
I follow her on TikTok now. I didn't know she was on TikTok. I'm following her, and she is a rock star on there.
Dr. Perry keep you involved.
Oh,
she can tell when you slacking, hey,
oh yeah,
too much greatness or whatever it is that you have the unique.
Yeah.
You need to get out there and shine. She speaks of shine.
She is, she's a force. How did you two meet?
Well, you know what? I had met one of my coaches. I was at her event.
Okay.
Norma Hollis. And Norma Hollis was actually the person who did the foreword in my first book.
Okay.
And Norma Hollis is an authenticity coach. I got certified as an authenticity coach.
Right.
And Norma, I was doing a program, and she's here in Detroit. She lives in L.A., but she's from Detroit, and she went back and forth. And we're talking, and she said, I cannot believe you're not connected with Pam Perry. You know?
Wow, that's a powerful thing.
We were just talking, and I said, I had seen a couple of her events, and I was, thinking in terms of how, and she told me at that time, and that was back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
That I connected, and every once in a while I'll see a program that she have, and she slowly grows you in, Yeah. You have to get connected.
She, because she also introduced me to Dr. Portia Lockett. Portia. Another amazing force in life. Yes. She's a wonderful human. She was on my show a few weeks ago, and I got to know her, and what just a sweet young lady. And first thing she does, I open the door to greet her to the studio here, and she just gives me this big hug.
Yeah,
does that sound like her?
Yeah. We did our photo shoots together, and it was exciting. It was a very fun time.
Very nice.
Yeah, there.
Okay, well there you have it. I was curious on how that all is, but see how the world kind of comes back around. It's somebody different than Mr. Terry Bean always connecting me. So, thank you, Dr. Pamela Perry. So everything that you've done in your past, all these years of experience and schooling and continued education, at what point did you get the aha moment to go, I want to help others?
Yeah. So my thing started, I was, as you said, I did so much. Even while I was in school, I became a licensed builder, and I was just doing things to make me engaged all the time.
Okay.
Not really paying attention to my health. And at some point in time, as I was moving through my transitions to careers, I was getting irritated for a moment, and I was finding my way kind of lost. It didn't seem like me. People would tell me things that I couldn't even believe. My kids would say that I was crazy.
Uh-oh.
The Hulk. They called me the Hulk, my two boys. My daughter.
Well, you're a big guy here, man. You got
you scream, just tell us to do it, and all that.
Right.
And oddly enough, I got sick. I took a job at the casino when I was in that process of getting a job, and I knew some things was going on. And one morning, as I kind of ignored my doctor, I started sweating. I was sitting there sweating and going through something. I had this exhaustion thing, and so when they did the test, they found I had bipolar depression disorder.
Oh no!
And at that time, they wanted to. What he did put me on Prozac, then lithium, then Prozac. Lithium was powerful. Then Prozac and Depakote. So I was like, this is not me. I'm trying to do this career thing without anybody knowing. These changes that you had to deal with. So I had an awesome doctor, but I had an awesome therapist who just kind of like what you're doing, just easily talk and feel, just talk.
Yeah.
And once we got to understanding what habits, because she said that has to be one of your unique things because of all your background. You have a process. Try and use that. So once we talked about it, we came up with these 3 areas that I always felt good about.
Right.
Is building affirmations every day. When I get up in the morning, and powerful affirmations, people often think that, God, that's silly. To sit there in the mirror and say who you are, what you're going to do.
Programs your mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she said, put meaning to them. And what I did, I felt strong about it. She said, who are you? You Michael Wynn. You got to win. You got to feel, and not just that, with the praying and the meditations and the affirmations that I live by became a habit every day I had to. The other thing that I had to do is find a space, my own space, where I shut out negativity.
Right.
Just think about it. I'm in a casino, one of the biggest jobs, and I had to monitor the people, and people would come.
A lot of negativity.
It was an amazing challenge, and I had to still find my time, because talking to people sometimes, or getting into that, would change you, and then you're dealing with medication, you're trying to get off of it, and
I can't even imagine.
That thing was really unique. And the last thing is to monitor your negative thoughts. Talk about, at the end of the day, how you're going to accept what you did and change it for the next day. And at no time, when they give you the medication like that, it's almost like a lifetime sentence. I got off of it 6 years. I was off of it. And I had a couple of doctors that was amazed, because, you monitor what you had to do. You had to go through a process. So when I got to that point, I had a couple things that I did. I read this great book by Les Brown, Up Thoughts.
I've heard of that.
Down Times.
Yeah.
And this quote by Maya Angelou, she said, once the healing takes place, go out and heal someone. So I'm trying to find my way through this whole process. And I said, well, I am a certified fraud examiner and a financial literacy. So Jumpstart reached out to me and said, can you join with us and we help the community teach about financial literacy? So I did that.
Very nice.
Helping people find their own solace. They didn't know I was still healing, but I just enjoyed doing that. And I found my way as I was transitioning to the one area is avoid financial stress. So I just took my career, and as I still was teaching, the job that I had was responsible for compliance and telling people how to get to the next level. Right. So I worked all that in there. So
that's brilliant. I mean, wow, the bipolar disorder though, and the medication. I've had people joke around with me. Oh, you probably have bipolar, because I go from one thing to the next. I don't, because I have had that tested, and I don't. But I do. I can see why. I mean, I fought depression for 5 years. Everyone on the show that hears this, I know, and it was just until about not even 2 years ago now that I sought help. And I still go to a therapist every Tuesday. Love it.
I know it.
And it's, I tell people all the time, don't be afraid of that. It's a proactive approach to living a more sustainable and happier lifestyle. And it gives you strategies, it gives you the guidance and accountability that we need, but we got to do the work.
You have to do the work.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to dig, and you got to talk, and you mentioned the healing part. Like when you started doing your coaching and things, or at Jumpstart, that they didn't even realize you were healing yourself. And Michael, I'll tell you, as I'm sitting here right now with you today, I'm still on that healing journey.
Yes, it takes a while. You never get over it, because my first book that I wrote, Habit Success.
Okay, this one is the first one, yeah.
I actually, a memoir, and I go into the steps that it took, because I was going through that. And near the end of the process, I had to deal with grief, and my family was trying to make sure that I was okay. But I'm saying I'm fine.
Right.
How about you? Because my mother passed away. They didn't know what was going on with her, and they said 15 days she had to live, and she died in 13 days. And then my brother died a year after of a medical. He had a medical malpractice. They did something to his head. And then my sister, who was close to him, committed suicide. So I'm going through this transition, but I'm at the same time realizing that I learned through these steps, through this habit formation that I care, how I wanted to deal with this. And I talked about it. And the thing about, in the beginning, which I always talked about, when you first understand you have a depression as a man,
Right.
It's a stigma. You don't want nobody to know.
No one knew about it.
It's like we don't cry. We don't talk about not having. And that was the worst thing that I dealt with when we all had these struggles. People go in different phases that I learned through some of the group sessions that I had. That you don't fix yourself, it can lead to a lot of other things that you have to deal with.
You're not kidding.
And I tell you,
that resonates hardcore with me, my friend.
When I had a men's group that I talked with, and they said, "How are you so transparent?" I said, "Because I'm cured in the sense that I accept it, and I can go forward." And there's times where you have to struggle with the things that you deal with.
Right.
But you have to come out of the fog. You have to find a way out of the fog.
I agree with that, and I talk about this a lot on my show. There's a difference between like change, these habits. That's a hard thing, right? Because you have the good and the bad, but the bad, they may not necessarily make you a bad person. It's causing each of us that hold on to these bad habits from growing and blossoming into this beautiful thing that God created us to be.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think if people realize and they start embracing change, actually transformational change, because change, that's quick and easy. I just change positions on a, but transformation, I have to look at my habits. I have to dig in my soul. I need to be vulnerable and transparent and be willing to go through that process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I learned, and once I put it on, I said, okay, I got to learn about it. Like, a habit is a goal. The goal is the results that I want to achieve. But then I had to come up with a process, which I call my habit matrix.
Okay.
To take me to my results. And then when I talk in habits, the 7 habits to overcome obstacles to win, is I talk about visualize faith, be authentic or be real.
Right.
Understanding health, understanding money, but in my just win, I really talk about just win and think repeat.
Love that.
Think repeat is when you have a winning process, you are now repeating it.
Yeah.
You have that, you understand what habits are, habits good or bad. You can recognize them, isn't it? It's okay. Sometimes I still bite my nails. That's the worst thing. My wife look at me and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to stop, but I recognize it. So that is where I landed. And it took me forever, and I know a lot of authors have, or wannabe authors have this book, and they don't know how to tell the story, and they just sit around.
That's hard.
The story got to be told. Before my mother passed away, she always said, "You're gonna have a book to write because you do so much."
Right.
And even the time up to when she passed away, we talked about what I was going through.
Right.
And it took me. She passed away in 2007, and it took me almost 10 years to write my book. My first book. So once that healing took place, and I went out to heal somebody, I chose the financial literacy. That's what I wrote, The Habit Effect. Your Life, Your Money. And I actually talk about how people can actually prosper from understanding financial literacy, avoiding financial stress, starting a business, and protecting their security. It's a resource book for not just a person growing, but a person that want to hire people to understand this is what you need to know at every level. So colleges, actually entrepreneurs buy it, and college students buy it, just to get focused on trying to avoid, because financial stress is high at the list when it comes to depression.
You're not
I always say
kidding.
stress leads to the rest. If you just think for a moment, people that do, and I have people that abundantly with money, monetary levels of high abundance, that would talk to me about not controlling, not being able to control what they have.
Right.
And that's interesting.
It is, and it's been a month or two ago, Dr. Darla Bishop. Have you met her? She was on my show as a guest, and she's in the financial space and has a book that we had this conversation. And it's interesting though, because for me, it hit home too, and so is what you're saying is hitting pretty deep with me, because I grew up just kind of like not stressing too much about money, but I mean, I did, I struggled, but there was a long period of my life where everything I touched just kind of worked, and then it didn't. And when it didn't, And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where's all that money at? Well, it's because I wasn't paying attention, you know. The piggy bank started going down, and so I live on a budget now. Like, I don't stress over money. I make pretty good money, I think, for what I do. But I tell you what, I use, what's it called? Is that Dave Ramsey's Every Dollar? Even Every Dollar, I think it is. And I love that thing. But it helps me keep aware, helps me stay focused, keeping my habits in order.
And we grew up, my family, we grew up low income.
Right.
I had an awesome mother that talked to us about abundance.
Did she?
And
nice.
She set us up. She talked about, which I just talked about, the Toastmasters, about the honor of giving. She always talked about abundance. She always talked about giving, and then she always talked about how you become a better person.
Sounds like a great mom.
My great-grandfather, who was the most abundant person, he had a farm. He never looked like he had money. Well, to this day, I'm one of 33 people that are beneficiary of a generational wealth. That he died in 1976 when I was in college. He was 102.
Oh my!
And he had a vision. His farm today, soybeans soybean and all of the timber that they sell on the land or whatever they set up for farmers, we still enjoy because he believed that there's giving comes with you understanding, and you pass it down.
That's beautiful.
And that was the thing that really got to me when you talk about trying to stay focused on how you create something and not getting irritated because some of us, we grow up and with social media and all these other things, we get too involved in having the right direction.
You mean not everybody on TikTok and Instagram are multi-gazillionaires?
Right. Well,
what are you talking
about? You want to be able to take care of yourself. And I've seen people, or know people, that had a couple $1 million and lost it. So it still takes time and effort to understand that.
All those get-rich-quick things across every social channel. I make $20 million a month, and I can show you how to do that in 30 days.
Yeah.
What? No, you can't.
We have organizations that say, tell them to come talk to us.
Right.
We look for speakers like that all the time. We did actually have one.
Yeah.
A former criminal that came to us.
A former criminal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Embezzlement. But the funny part about it, when he came the second time, he was back involved in his criminal activities.
Oh no! Oh no!
But the thing is that people, you can't trust them nowadays. It's so unique when you especially have artificial intelligence. And I talk about it and just keep it as yours because people have to identify how they want to protect it. That security comes with financial literacy.
Yeah. I wish that they would teach that. And some schools are starting, it seems like, but...
Well, we have it now. I was part of they passed the bill in 22.
Okay.
It's Bill 5109 that you have to have personal finance in order to graduate. And it took forever. I was part of the Jump Start program.
Okay, good.
That it wasn't set to that it was a requirement. Now there's a curriculum, a small a credit hour, but it gets them focused.
Yeah.
They have to learn because I don't know if you got yours. Mine was econ. They'll talk a little bit, but how do you balance the check? When I got in college, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm spending money and just thinking I'm free. First of all, I was living on my own until I had to call my mother every time I needed food.
Michael, it's embarrassing to admit this, but all my life, I always refer to it as the piggy bank.
Yeah.
If that thing was filled up, I was bad.
Yeah.
I was bad. That money tree, no. I wish I had a forest of those things.
Yeah.
But I was bad. I didn't learn really to be responsible with money until much later in my life.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's sad, but
I know.
That's just kind of how bad habits.
Yeah, because you never think about people that just take care of you. You don't care how they got the money.
Right.
You just want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where, there are now ways where your parents sit down with you, but a lot of times between them working multiple jobs or doing different things, they just think you're set.
Yeah.
So you go out on your own.
Oh boy. No, the reality kicks in quick. I'm trying to tell my kids, and they're young. My 10-year-old daughter, my son just turned 12, and they just like, oh, Dad, I need this. Hey, can I order this? I'm like, do you understand? I mean, they do understand like the value of money, but man, they just keep that want list keeps growing there, Michael. And I'm like, okay, kiddos.
Oh, we had a rule like my grandkids now, because my daughter learned. My daughter went to Michigan 11 years. She did brain and kind of study her undergrad. Then she went to their master's program, and then of course she was going to get into med school. She was worried about it, but she did med school there. So during that whole process, she's just like, I gotta save the money. But what she did, she'll call me and say, hey, Dad, I forgot to give me a book. I get this book the last minute. It's $1,000. Did you forget? Or you just
That's right.
But she did learn, and she's doing great now. She's out in Texas. She's
very nice.
Gynecologist, so she put efforts there. My sons are the same. They understand what money is.
Right.
Their challenges are different.
Yeah.
But it takes it. So when you get to my age, I'm the grandkids.
Yeah.
They work, but they don't know. I have to hold back. I hope they're not watching. I have to hold back a certain amount of their money so they can have something that they can grow on and understand what it means,
Yeah. So when you go through your coaching, so you started educating people on the importance of finance. So walk me through kind of like that how that started and what your greatest.
I talk about. I'm glad you asked, Mark, because I do always talk about good habit is understanding financial stability. You hear financial freedom. You can't find freedom until you're stable.
Isn't that the truth?
To break even over and over is a victory,
Oh, man.
So I always talk to them about financial stability, but the whole mindset of how do you feel about yourself? Where is your money level? What do you understand? Because people think that they understand, even the people that have money. So when you start talking about a budget, when you start talking about tracking your income, what is your wants? How do you position yourself that you have enough for yourself and those you have to take care of?
Yeah.
And the money that you have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So all those things have to work together. And I always say,
that's a big thing.
It's not a bank, and GoFundMe is not insurance. Don't get it twisted. So let's focus on how you need. Where do you want to be? First of all, regardless of starting a business or whatever the thing. Let's take the personal side. And understand what it is that you want and need, and then we go from there. And if it's going on to entrepreneurship, then they would understand that.
So in your program and when you're helping people, is it mostly just educating them and giving them some real life examples of just creating the better habits? You're not acting as a financial guidance.
No.
You're just saying this is the importance and the value that you need to have around your financial money, the goals that you set, the habits you create, right?
Right. I always talk to them about habits. I don't try to say this is the best stock. I don't have no certifications in that area. But to get them to understand, the three areas they have to understand their self well-being, money and health. Health and wealth. Because I'm a health advocate. When it comes to health, wealth is nothing without good health. So you have to connect those two, and then the security. I often talk about being Superman. The three.
With a money cape.
Security, and saving, security, and surplus.
Okay.
I always talk about that. You start off understanding how to save. Savings comes with a lot: budget, tracking income, generational wealth.
Right.
And then the surplus is when I want to grow and I want to start my business. I'm a surplus. I'm gonna have my business plan. I'm gonna follow it. I'm gonna get the right entity, and then security. Two ways of security: securing for the future, but securing what you have, especially with technology and all this back and forth. I tell people don't be scared of AI as a fraud examiner because there's some unique areas that you can really benefit from it. But you got to know the downside of it, because we work with that all the time. That don't always be. I mean, I go way back where I used to have AAR sessions with elderly people, and they just didn't believe anything their sons or daughters tell them. Don't pick up that phone. The Canadian lottery, whatever it is.
Oh my!
They told me you would say that, So I had to educate them and understanding that what you hear sometimes is not true.
Right.
And you have to focus. So that whole program that when I'm coaching someone, is to really find out where they are, find out where their surplus want to be,
right.
find out how they want to make that. And my background when it comes to my bipolar depressive depression is something that you overcome. Everybody have obstacles to overcome. I don't tell people, I don't really get so deep into not doing what you're supposed to do with your doctor.
Right.
Just to know that you have to have a mindset that it's possible.
Right.
You know, it's possible to go from each level.
Yeah.
Because all I want to do is win. So
I tell you,
you have that attitude of doing.
Yeah, that mindset is everything.
Yeah.
Small wins that celebrate those small wins, right? Because that stacks up over time.
That creates
Reward yourself, people.
Yeah.
But save. Invest. Actually, absolutely. Someone told me once, Michael, and I want your thought on this. The idea of saving versus investing. How do you see that? I mean, some people are saying, like, you know, back when we grew up, it was like, oh, save, put all that money away for a rainy day kind of thing. Then you speak with people who have done very well in their lives, and they said they don't. And I think people get it confused. They say they don't save, they invest, and they grow that money. What is the difference so everyone understands that?
There's a point where you have to save to get to those investments.
Correct.
And once you get there and you're making the right decisions, everybody's investment or a way that they get there is different, because you have to know yourself and you have to know what kind of risk level you're going to be at.
Right.
But you can make out by investing in some. I was a real estate investor while I first got homes and rented them out, and they got to, well, back when I was doing it was simple assumptions. I could get a house, I could take somebody's mortgage, I didn't have to worry about all that paperwork.
Right.
They just turned it over, they signed it, and I had houses that I rented, and I did well in investing. I didn't have to put a whole lot of money up front. Now things have changed, the market has changed. So you have to think about, now you have to get money to bring into that plan.
Right.
So investors do well when they know their attitude and they know where they want to go with it. So it's a big difference. And you can have money sitting not doing nothing,
right,
at a low interest rate, and it's just sitting there, but you are secured. You know, you can be better off when you start really identifying a little bit of both. You still need to uniquely.
Yeah, and I think it's that balance, right? Trying to identify, okay, what level of risk, as you said, where are you? What are your goals? What are you trying to strive for? And then just put the right financial plan together to get there. You know, and I think that's kind of how I would look at it too. And I think that makes, in my head, that makes sense, where you have to have that nest egg of something, try to get as much interest as you can out of that to grow that account, but then also don't just count on that and sit it there. Get out there, find some things that are going to catapult that, you know. I mean, I'm not saying I'll go all in on, you know, crypto or stocks.
Yeah, I know. Some guys used to always say, put the puppies to work. Don't let them just stay at home. But yeah, you have to really do your homework. It's especially now. You know, the opportunities are great, but you have to do your homework.
Definitely. Yeah. So I want to know more about these books.
Yeah.
So The Habits Don't Lie is book number 1. The Habit Effect is number 2.
Yeah. So I was fortunate on this one to get number 2 on Amazon bestselling list.
Woo, all right.
2 categories, but this one I got number 1 on Amazon in 2 categories. It was interesting because I had a book coach on it, and we were going through the whole process and we were looking at.
Yeah.
And that was amazing, you know, to go through there. And I later did 2 anthologies. I did one, Dear Mom, and I got the third one that I'm going to give you.
What?
This is stories. I don't know if you know who Sean Fair is. He's
Sean who? I'm sorry?
Sean Fair.
No.
Yeah. He does the Leadership Experience Tour.
Nice.
So when connected, this is real good. This is really summarized both of my books, my story in my one chapter. It talks about where I came from, what I had to go through, how I landed. And this is just an anthology. I'm one of the authors in here speaking about fear too. And it was about winning is on the other side of fear. And I just talked about, because I can remember my mother was talked about unknown fear and how to challenge fear. And you have to get out there, because when you fall short from something, you just fearful to talk to anybody, But yeah, so that process.
I'm in there.
Learning, but
that's great. This is exciting.
When I did this leadership tour, it was great to meet people that especially into motivation and especially into overcoming things and obstacles and helping people, because it was all about focusing on the platforms. And
so there's what, there were 10, 12 different authors that represent the makeup of this book?
This was the second volume. It was among many more people, but in this one, I think it's like 9 people that.
Wonderful. That's a great concept. I have another friend who just was invited to, and I forgot the name of the book right now. I can't think of it, but she is one of the authors, and they give her like, I think 1,000 words or something like that, or a couple thousand.
We had a few more of that, because when I was challenged with thinking about, so I had to bring in the fact that what habits don't lie meant to me, and then what Dr. Milo's thoughts of killing meant to me when you go out, and and then so in that particular chapter is what I put. I spoke about that.
Very nice. Well, thank you. That's awesome. Now, when you coach, are you using these as the foundation of everything? I would imagine. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm actually this next year going to be going a more aggressive coaching program. As a consultant, I was so busy with some things, and I'm still doing stuff for the state of Michigan, the Department of Ed, and some of the schools. I actually monitor Title I funds that their schools have. But my more approach of coaching, I want to be able to sit down with people that are starting, because people have tendencies of thinking they can just, I want a business, go get an LLC, and the money's going to fall in my lap, and I have to just go from step B. But there's a process. And I always say, habits come with that process. It's when I learned that the habit loop from some of the philosophies and habits, is that there's that clue, that routine, and that reward, and you do that over and over. That's where it means you put that in perspective to everything that you do. It's amazing.
It's so just identifying your habits. Like, I think a lot of people walk around not even realizing that, oh shoot, it's a habit. But I don't think people realize maybe how that habit is truly either impacting them in some negative way or holding them back, I should say, right? I'm guilty of that, and I've been fixing my own stuff, but it's hard. It takes a lot of work, and you need to be aware and willing, I've noticed, to go through the change.
It is. It takes it, because you find a way, you have to really find a way that I've got to change, and with consistency, and you want a repetitive, you have to make that approach. And it doesn't take long. People say 66, 27, 8. No, you can. A habit formation can come. You start changing. Within 2 or 3 days, you're doing something that I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this. The biggest thing is coming up January 1st. Everybody's talking about losing some weight. After all the cookies and the cakes and the pies.
Everyone's going to be a health fitness expert, going to the gym, and then 3 weeks later, back at the old habits. That's change. That's immediate change. That's not transformational change. I've talked about that on the show.
Oh, is that right?
Where that whole New Year's resolution, right? Forget about that, you guys. Make those promises to yourself throughout the year, right? Change those habits. Live for those good habits. It's not easy, but it works. Like I'm doing some new things right now, and I'm preparing for 25, right, to make my life bigger, better, here, and physically, mentally, everything, right? Financially. And it's so what I'm doing, and I would like to ask you this, is I am spending time in the last probably 30 days, maybe not even that, maybe let's just call it within a month, and I'm reflecting on 2024, and I'm trying to understand, like, what have I done that I like? What have I done that I go, yeah, that's okay, I'm working in the right direction, what I absolutely hate. And then what do I need to do to change to grow in 25, right?
That's the thing. I always tell them, get the garbage bag.
Yeah.
Right on the garbage bag. This
Right.
is what I'm going to keep. This is how I'm going to go forward. And don't look back. You have to put in your mind perspective that I am going to do better. And you speak it to an existence. And sometimes you got to keep it to yourself. People think that your goals is just crazy.
Right.
Those are the people that you write off. You put them in one of those bags. Don't listen to Martin.
That's
whoever
right.
the case may be.
He's
But
crazy.
You have to reflect on how well you did in the year and how and where you want to be, because we see things. And the one thing that I often say is that you can hold yourself thinking of negative or the obstacles of what people say that impacts you, instead of moving forward to what you want to do.
Absolutely.
You cannot listen to what people say. People are going to be in kindness.
Don't get me going on that one.
Always say, kill them in kindness. Let them talk.
Yeah.
You got a great point for yourself, but this is what I'm going to do.
That's right. I'm learning to bite my tongue a lot of times, and when people give me their opinions.
It's going to be so hard. I stay away from the politics. I stay away
Same.
from, I have my own way of believing in the religion I have, and how I want to choose to speak about politics. I don't. I just don't. I mean, I live for myself every day. I will hope that my kids have challenges. My family have challenges, and we just want to keep moving as far as that's where we can live. So.
What's your proudest moment of 2024?
2024 is I have a son that is struggling now. He's
I'm sorry.
But him just being motivated through some of the things that I tell him. And my daughter is a doctor. She got us together to go see him. Never knew that we were going to have this photo op. And we spent time there. That moment, just talking to him and lifting his spirit. Right. Sometimes you don't know when it comes during the week. You say, "Oh, I got a 5 or 6 shows that paid me. I had moments that speak." Yeah, that is.
Right.
But when you can touch something that really means something, because he right now he's paralyzed, so he can't walk. But the spirit of a person, that makes you feel good. And I used to do the calling. Now he calls me. Hey, you watching a game? He said, we're gonna pull through it, right?
Right.
So those things, that really helps a lot.
That's beautiful.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
You feel that you're moving towards making that person feel better.
Now, as a professional, CEO of Coach Wynn, and all of your clients, because it's personal, individuals, it's leaders, things like that, all of that power you have over these people to help heal them, if you will.
Yeah.
How does that transform in your personal life? Like, do your kids look at you and go, "Love you, Dad, but wow, no, get that crazy talk away from me"?
I'm gonna tell you, my grandkids I only have one son that have kids. My other 2 don't have kids, but I have 4 of them, and they tell me he's the most awesome person. And I said, "Is it money? You want some money or something?" No. So they there. My oldest son is learning.
Right.
He's learning. He was always the one, he always had his way of certain things. But yeah, and my daughter is amazing. She, you have 2 sons and a girl. The daddy girl is always the one. When I go see her, it's like golden. Daddy, I'm getting a house. Come and visit me.
Right.
Please help me. She's not afraid to ask. But that is the thing. When you have the personal side of what you do, you can say, okay, this is how I handle it. What I learned from them, and we all have to as parents, is listen to them more. It's because sometimes our advice can be for us in a sense that it might not work for them. So what is it that you're missing?
Right.
So I'll tell them.
That is well stated. I've been struggling with some things. Kind of why I asked you. I want to get reel that in and give me some advice here. Now you just got me thinking about something. But yeah, that's interesting. I find it fascinating with individuals that coach others, But how does that transition into their personal lives at home? Yeah. Because that dynamic is definitely different, yeah? And so you can go in and change a leader's thought perspective and would enrich the culture at work. Hopefully that transitions into his or her personal life and becomes a better parent, a better partner, a better community leader.
It's all about that. And I was married, my second marriage, 16 years. My first marriage, 27 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so that was really different. And just as my first wife being the only child, it's different from what we went through. And as I was going through my struggles, I had issues I talk about in Habits Don't Lie. They didn't know how to talk and the irritation. But my wife now is so straight up. We have this routine, first of all. We don't go to bed upset about anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we just can't live. And the things that you have to listen, and she does the same type of thing in finance. So we get to kind of communicate back and forth. But it's so important to know that you're on the right page.
Yeah.
You're not missing a step. And everything that you can think about, you have to make sure that you fine tune.
Right.
You can't forget. And then with her thing, she always say, okay, don't start these habits that you don't forget. You get me flowers don't be stopped.
She's holding you on that one.
The flowers, and I want to make sure that she recognizes that, I remember those times that makes her happy. And that's what you have to do.
That might be the next series of books for you, a whole series about habits of being a gentleman, habits of these, just break down different sections of life, segments of life. But no, this is fantastic. So I noticed on your website, people, these are on Amazon.
Yes.
So people can go to your website and get this, which I'll put in the description, everybody. But so is this one also available on your Amazon account?
Not, but it will be. It is
coming soon.
I'll put that one on there.
Nice. Now I noticed you have an ebook as well on there.
Yeah. It's an ebook. It's a free ebook. It's one of the chapters that I really try to get people to understand. It's follow success and tell.
Okay.
Because a lot of people nowadays, young people, wants to start a business. It's more than just but understand. So that ebook kind of gives them some insight.
Oh my God! I'll tell you, I've been doing marketing now this is a little over 26 years. I've been in a fractional chief marketing kind of role for the last little over 3 years now, since I started Michigan CMO. That's what I do full time.
Right.
And then outside of the show. And I tell people all the time, they come to me, I want to start a business. Well, do you have any bankroll behind you here? You have some money? He goes, I'm good at what I do, okay? Then you get the people that they actually have some investment and they go. But I tell them all the time, starting the business is the easiest thing. Yeah. I mean, for $50, I can go on to Laura on the Michigan site, go through the little 10-minute process, fill it out, boom, pay my $50, wait 3 to 5 days. Now I'm an LLC in Michigan, everyone. Here's the kicker. You got to convince the world that your product or service is something special and different. Me versus Michael now, out in the world, marketing. Right. That's the hardest thing, finding and identifying an audience that cares about this widget. It's going to see it valuable. You could be the best roofer on the planet, and you were so good doing what you did in your trade, but because I see this all the time, and so the guys they just go out and start a roofing business.
Yeah.
They don't realize, oh crap, I got to get insurance, I got to get licensed, I need a trucks, I need fuel, I need and next thing you know, you need about $100,000 that you don't have, right? Now you're going to put yourself into hardship.
Right.
Don't do that, people. Don't do that.
And it's those, sometimes they have a unique product or service,
right.
And they get out there and they start getting demand, but don't have everything else in place.
Yeah.
And I say you fall behind that. I even talk to people about intellectual property when you don't protect it. There's people out there that's going after that. Yeah. So you have to have all those things. You can't shortcut. So in the beginning, I tell people where to find money doing little things to put together for your business purpose. The biggest problem in being an auditor, financial auditor, in the background is separating business and personal. People just don't.
One big bucket.
They put it in together and thinking that I can parse this out. But no, it creates problems. And then every time you go, you set yourself up where if you did get audited, they could see that you're not consistent. And what does the IRS do? you got a hobby. You don't have a business. You're
Right.
just playing,
Right.
So we have to learn, all those little techniques and continue to do the right thing,
Right.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on top of this.
Well, this is great advice.
Oh, yeah.
Great advice. You're a rock star, man. I love it. Yeah, I love your person. Your demeanor is wonderful. I'm very grateful and humbled that you were here today with me, joining me in Imagine Better. Thank you. I'm learning every week when I'm meeting awesome humans like yourself, and it does. I'm like I said, I'm still growing and going through my journey.
Yeah.
And I love this because this is, somebody. It was interesting. Joe Bruce. I don't know if you know her, but she's a good friend of mine. She's a coach as well, and she's been on the show a little while ago, months ago. And she said something. Somebody in her circle watched one of my episodes and heard me speak about some of the past struggles, the therapy I do, and then the life coaching that I participate in. And she framed it up this way, and I never heard it said this way. She looks at Joe and says, "Joe, you know what Mark's doing, don't you?" And she goes, "No, what?" She goes, he's living every day, the past, the present, and the future, every week, I mean. And she goes, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, when he's talking about his journey, his growth, personal growth journey, that's the past. Mm-hmm. His therapy keeps him in the moment and present, and then his life coaching is his future, the future of him. He's doing that every week on his show." And I was like, that is powerful when you think about it.
It is.
I was like, okay.
It is. Yeah, you say you accept. Yeah. That is. That's great.
But I love it. When you get somebody who struggles, mm-hmm. and then they meet individuals like yourself, and they go through the programs, and they get the help. I tell people, reach out, you guys. Reach out and get help. Don't let your egos get in the way. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable is good. Even come on, guys. Even us guys, right? Yeah, it's okay to drop that ego and accept help.
Yeah, I know. We were. I tell you, when they first came, I said, "They're not talking about me." I play football. I'm not even going there. But once I realized that, I sat there and I talk about it in my book. In the car wondering, what do I want to do? Did anybody care about me? And I thought about it. I thought about just let the car run, stay in the garage here for a minute. But you have to say that once you get out of that, the stigma of being the masculine person that can't really deal with his emotions, then you live a better life. And you have people that say and do what they want to do, but you're not even hearing that. You live a better life.
Well, one thing, and we'll wrap this up because I know you have to get going too in your day here, but I tell you, you just mentioned something, I think, about in the garage and I just let it run. That thought goes across a lot of people that we would never know, right? I'm sure a lot of people, whether they admit it or they're serious about it, by implanting that in our heads, that makes us capable, right? And that's scary when you think about it. So this whole mental awareness in our country, I think, needs to be elevated epically, and we need to get more proactive about it and support organizations that are trying to get ahead of the problem. Because suicide, for example, there's been several guests on my show that have actually attempted suicide. Yeah. One tried to kill himself 3 times. Yeah. Thank God he failed. Right. Talk about failing forward.
Yeah.
And then it's scary though. But I think a lot of this can come with if people search their souls, they learn to embrace better habits, more sustainable habits to grow. Surround themselves with great people like Michael Wynn, so you win. That's right. I know it helps me. You guys, your circle does matter. It's not just a phrase and a saying that it really does impact who you are and who you're going to become, because you're constantly reminded Right, habits don't lie. I love that, by the way. I love that.
Yeah.
And the habit of fact is the outcome of all that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So, what last things you would like to say to the audience before we leave today?
I would like to say, just especially this time of the year, that we have to embrace people. We have to understand that it's going to be okay. 2025 is going to be your year. You're going to understand how to win and live a great life.
Yeah.
You know, we all in this together. And that's all we can do is look out for us and others that need help, lift them up, and it's going to make your environment in our area a much better place to live.
Kindness is simple, guys.
It is. It's a simple thing.
Turn around and say, how are you today?
Right.
Smile.
Right.
That little gesture, that's it.
Right.
You can do more, but that, if nothing else, do those two little things. You guys, another episode of Imagine Better. Michael, I am so thankful. Appreciate not only meeting you, but taking the time out of your morning, coming to the Imagine Better studio.
The pleasure's mine. I enjoy myself so much.
You're blessed in every way, and I'm very humbled that you're here. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring people, educating them. That's key to everything. And you're a constant educator of life. I'd almost put you into the bucket. I said this to somebody else recently. You're a professor of life. So embrace that, everybody. Thank you for another episode of Imagine Better. Remember, go to YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you don't miss other amazing episodes like this one. Please share this message, you guys. Mental health awareness, excuse me, transformational change and personal growth journeys. This is the mission behind Imagine Better. Get this message out there. There's a lot of people that need resources and guidance and just to help. And so many people are afraid to ask for that help. So hopefully this content hits home deep within you. Share it and help somebody else. Talk about a good way to just kind of be kind. Just kind of say, hey, I was thinking about you today, and talking about changing habits and financial. Here's an episode for you that I think would help impact your day, right? Yes. Rock on, my friend.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Imagine Better.